All right, so before we officially start today's meeting, I would like to welcome everyone and let each of you know that it's my intention as your chair that we create a space where every member of the commission feels seen, heard, and respected and valued. So with that said, I call this meeting to order at 7.
Is your mic on?
It is, but hello, I don't think it's working. I know.
Yes, they'll tell us.
Check,
so
check.
Keep going if it's.
Yeah, I'll just talk loud. Is our mic on? Is this mic on? Voice from God. Hello?
Oh, you're good? Okay, sorry.
All right. Yep.
Just a really good system.
It's just a really good system, yeah. All right, so we'll call this meeting to order at 7:03 p.m. on Tuesday, August 18th, 2026. This is the meeting of the City of Urbana Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Commission will now come to order. Oh, there we go. Carmen, whoa, will you please do roll call?
Yes, Annie Adams,
Present.
Nicholas Anand.
Present.
I'm Carmen Franks, Choshi Wong,
Present.
Susan Jones, Bruce Michelson, Kev Murphy, Peyton Perry,
Present.
Sarthak Prasad,
Present.
Sarah Rand,
Present.
Nancy Westcott,
Present.
Giselle Juarez Alquisi. I'm sorry. She knows I'm sorry that I butcher her name. Tim Friedman.
A quorum is present, and we can now proceed to the first order of business. Are there any suggested changes to the agenda? Would you like to add, delete, or reorder items?
I move that we add to unfinished business, we can call it vacancies and new member intros. We've had that in the past, and I think with our newest member, we should all introduce ourselves to her and to the public for anyone watching that wants to learn who we are.
All right.
I will second that motion.
All right. The motion was made by Carmen, seconded by Sue. Is there any discussion? And would we like to vote? Those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. All right, so we are adding to under, is it new business?
Is
Unfinished. Oh, there it is, sorry. Under unfinished business, we're adding vacancies and new member intros. All right, are there any other changes to the agenda?
Yes, I move that we add the discussion on the ordinance for the adding an MTD representative to BPAC to the unfinished business section after we talk about vacancies and new introductions, new member introductions.
I second that.
All right, so it was adding, is it adding a CUT? What is it? Is it adding, what did you?
CUMTD.
Is it this, do you want, is it CUMTD representative? To BPAC, we're gonna be adding that under unfinished business. That was first by Carmen, second by Nancy. Is there any discussion? If there's no discussion, would all those in favor say aye?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. All right, the ayes have it. We are adding that to unfinished business at the end, after vacancies. All right, any other changes to the agenda? All right, the next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes of the previous meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from the July 2026 meeting?
I move to approve the minutes.
I will second that motion.
All right, the motion to approve the minutes from July 2026 was, first was from Nancy, second was from Sue. Is there any discussion? And if there's no discussion, if we'd like to vote to approve the meeting minutes from July 2026, those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. All right, moving on. Do we have any public input?
I would just like to mention that someone in my neighborhood ended up getting stuck at Bunny's when it stormed, and they had to come home in the dark, and they said Anderson Road is really, really dark at night between Washington and Fairlawn.
And I know we have applied for grants to light that section of road. I don't know if we ever got that grant, but I think,
Other places got there first.
Carmen, would it be, if we wanted like Cobra lights on that street, would this be something Sue should just send to the city?
For a grant, are you referring to like the EQL program, the
It
Equity
was
and Quality
no,
of
it
Life?
was not the EQL program, it was a different one. It was, I think this was Bill Brown era. Yeah, Years ago.
Want it on the record, that's all.
yeah.
So Anderson, and what were the?
Fairlawn,
Between Washington. Anderson Road between Washington and Fairlawn.
Okay.
Like she said, even one light, like at Villa Lane, would be really helpful.
yeah, it's pitch black. And there were 2 car accidents, I believe, at Washington and Anderson in previous years. One ran into a tree, or
Yes,
2 ran
yes.
into trees, I don't
No,
know.
one ran into a tree.
Yeah.
Another, just took out
I mean,
cars.
maybe lights wouldn't have helped, but, you know.
Right, right. But anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, but if that helps the argument.
Okay,
Yeah, I can add that into our requests.
Is that the right way to do it?
Make a note within our internal, asset management system that.
yeah. Yeah, I believe it was we applied for like an Illinois state grant at one point, and it was specifically that because we were doing asset mapping and talking about all the assets that were in that neighborhood and why. But anyway, this is pre-Carmen. Let's just moving on. All right. But yeah, if you need any assistance with like asset mapping or any other stuff like that, just let me know and I can put together, I can put something together. Kev is walking in the building right now. All right, Kev, do you have any public input? No, there's no public input from Kev. Is there any other public input from anybody? All right. Let's let Kev get sorted, and we are going to move on to unfinished business. And the unfinished business is, what? Yep, BPAC spending.
No, first
But we can
Oh,
start with introductions.
we can start-
Let's start
okay,
with
great.
something fun.
All right, we're going to start with,
Well, and that's.
we're gonna start with, no, we're gonna start with the game. I always wish I had introduction games, I do not. We're gonna start with introducing, we have a new member tonight, which is very exciting. It's the Urbana Park District Representative. We have been missing you. I think we've had this vacancy for a couple of months now, and we very much miss having someone in the park district. So if you would like to introduce yourself, then we'll all go around.
Let's not make the new one go first.
Oh, no, okay, I can start first. All right, I'll start first. I'm Annie Adams. I'm the chair of the commission. I've been on this commission for over 10 years. I work at the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. I work in marketing communications at the Granger College of Engineering. I have been doing bike advocacy work for more years than I care to say out loud at this point. And I am grateful for you being here.
Okay, I'll jump in and note, this is public, so feel free to say as much or as little as you want, because this will be out in the public. So I was thinking, similar to what Annie just did, name and why you're here, why you might care about bike ped issues. If you have a nickname you want to go by or preferred pronouns, you're welcome to share those as well. So I'm Carmen Franks. I am the Public Works representative on BPAC. I've been a part of BPAC for about 2 years now. Prior to that, I was filling in occasionally for the previous staff member that was a part of BPAC. I'm a resident of Urbana and avid pedestrian. I'm trying to bicycle more with my family. Yeah, I think, oh, and I'm the Assistant City Engineer with Public Works, sorry.
So Carmen is the paid member. The rest of us are volunteers. And when you speak into the mic, you just push the button, you see the green button. Things should work from there.
I'm Sarthak Prasad. I'm the Sustainable Transportation Assistant at the University of Illinois, here representing the university. And I've been on the commission for at least before pandemic. So 7 years minimum? Yeah, so 7 years or so. Yeah. Yeah, welcome.
Hi, my name is Qiuxi Huang. I've been with this commission for like 3 years, just over 3 years actually. I work for MTD. I'm the transportation analyst planner. I use buses a lot, of course. I walk a lot and I bike sometimes. So, welcome.
My name is Kev Murphy. I work at Urbana Middle School. I'm a teacher, so I'm the representative from Urbana School District. I also work at the Park District part-time. I do team programs and did summer camp stuff as well. And I live off my bike, like as in I commute everywhere on my bike. So I'm always on my bike. And yeah, that's why I love this commission, and I'm advocating for students to have safer routes to school, and just for a better bicycle and pedestrian-friendly city.
I'm Nancy Westcott. I've been on the commission for maybe 5 or 6 years. I'm at large and I guess represent the retirees, the pedestrians, and I'm also I'm president of the Board of PACE, so I also represent disabled people.
Hi, I'm Tim. I'm a student volunteer for Urbana School District. I'm a senior this year, and nice to see you.
I'm Sue Jones, and I also bike everywhere. I'm car-free, and I'm active in the Prairie Cycle Club, and I'm really interested in sustainable travel, and for pedestrians, and all the micro-mobility options that we have. And I work out at Parkland College, and I had to ride fast to get here tonight. Can help people with their math homework.
My name is Sarah, and I am a resident of Urbana. I am also disabled, so I'm visually impaired and also a wheelchair user, and I serve on the ADA Compliance Working Group. I previously was employed at the Champaign County Coroner's Office, so in addition to advocating for increased ADA compliance, I am also advocating for safety to prevent further bike and pedestrian fatalities. I am no longer employed, so I guess my job currently is to be a problem for the city of Urbana.
I'm Nick Anand. I've been on the commission since early this year, so I'm also pretty new. I've been a resident of the Champaign-Urbana area for about 9 years now, and I'm going into my 3rd year at U of I studying electrical engineering.
I'm Peyton. I'm from the Urbana Park District. I just started in early July. I graduated from U of I in May, so I've been here for around 4 years. I became really interested in active transportation just from living here and how great the bus system is, how walkable it is. I mainly walk places. I'm not too big on biking. I just am not the best at it, honestly, but I'm looking to get into it more, and I'm happy to be here. So, Peyton, yes.
And Sarah, I would maybe reframe, you are not a problem, you are a solution for the city. All right, so we have, do we have vacant, you said something about vacancy?
Oh, the vacancy update is there are no vacancies anymore. Every place
We-
is full here.
Yeah, we have a full commission plus a waiting list, folks. So next is, do we want to get into adding the CU MTD representative from BPAC discussion? Is that where we're at? Oh, no, or do we want to do the BPAC spending for Light the Night? I can go. Yeah, let's do BPAC spending,
sure.
$1,722.50 for Light the Night lights, sponsorship of Bike to Work Day. Carmen, what have you got?
Yeah, so I'm sorry I don't have anything to pull up on the screen, but it's all in the packet. Your last couple pages are the bill or the invoice for the lights that we normally purchase directly from MTD, but they're doing it a little bit differently. They've split the bill up. MTD has split the bill up into each of the different entities and then having us send our payment directly to the bike light vendor. So that's why you're seeing this Planet Bike here.
Okay.
I believe it's the same vendor we used for these blinky lights. So similar light safety, I think it's the exact same blinky safety light set. But we did this last year. We bought, I think, a similar amount. The payment was a similar amount. So, yeah, before I send the payment, I just want to make sure that this is what BPAC is supportive of, and so we can discuss it any further if there are questions on the lights. Otherwise, we could have a vote on each of these two bills separately, starting with the bike lights. Yeah, so I guess, are there any questions on the bike lights? That's really just the one page. That's page 7 in the packet.
Okay, to be clear, can somebody tell me where the 250 lights are going to go once we have them?
They will be distributed at the Light the Night event. And I'm looking at these two to provide more information because they're normally working that event.
Yeah,
So the event will be on September 22nd from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. and tentatively at 5 campus locations. The event will be, as it's always been, it's available to everybody. It's not just for campus community, it's for kids, it's for adults, it's for seniors, for everybody. Yeah, you just need to bring your bicycle over and we will install a front light and a back light. Yeah.
And then on page 7, page 11 in the packet, you'll see the list of events for Bike to Work Day, Bike Week, and related fall 2026 events. It's the second one listed there, September 22nd, as Sarthak said, from 4 to 7, and the rain date is Wednesday, September 23rd.
and I would like to add, these are going to be the lights that they're going to be handing out. And installing. You have to
Yes.
present a scooter, present whatever your micromobility is, you have to present it. We will not just hand these to you, because we will install these on your lights. Last year, we had a lot of discussion about ensuring that citizens of Urbana who could not make it to campus to get these lights would get lights. I am now in possession of those lights, and if anybody has events, say the Park District, that they would like to have bike lights at, we can show up and we will install lights. So I have a pile of them, and I am happy to organize that and make that happen for everyone.
I have also reached out to Ambucks to ask if they would like some lights for their Amtrex, but I'm waiting to hear back from them about it.
Amazing. That'd be great.
So can I make a motion to spend $1,722.50 of the engineering budget on the Light the Night lights on behalf of BPAC?
I second that motion.
All right, the motion was made by Carmen. The motion to spend $1,722.50, and it was seconded by Sue. Is there any discussion? And can we have a vote? All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say no. The ayes have it. All right. Do we have a second? Were you dividing that into two or
Yeah,
just one?
yeah, I split that into two. So the second part of this is pages 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. So 8 through 13, or I'm sorry, 14 of your packet is all information about Bike Month. So BPAC, the city of Urbana, and slash BPAC has been a sponsor of Bike Month in the past. Last year, we spent $500 for this sponsorship. So you can see on page 9, the different levels for the donations that can be made and, what that means, what this covers. Again, I apologize, I don't have a presentation to put up on the screen. I just put all the information in the packet for you to review and for us to decide, how much we want to spend on this. And if there are questions, I might direct them to the individuals to my right, specifically Sarthak. So I will add that the principal planner, Evan, is the point person for Bike Month for the city. So that's why I'm just giving you the information and we'll pay the bill. But I have not been participating in the organization of the events.
All right. Do we have a motion to approve?
Well, I move to spend $500 again on sponsorship of Bike to Work Day and whatever other activities are involved with Bike Month that could support.
I'll second that motion.
All right. The motion to sponsor Bike to Work Day was made by Carmen. It was seconded by Sue. Is there any discussion? I personally would love to see a presentation after the event. I know Evan right now wants to probably kill me, but I think it'd be great, or somebody. It would be nice just to see the metrics of what we're doing every year on this. So that's my one bit of discussion. Do we have any other? All right. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. All right, moving on. The next bit of unfinished business is adding a CUMTD representative to the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Commission. Carmen, do you want to start this? Or do you want me, or how do you want to do this?
Sure, I can start. So I brought the ordinance that we discussed at last month's meeting, to council, or to the committee of the whole meeting last night with the resolution that BPAC had signed off on to support that ordinance. So the ordinance is basically stating we would like to add a representative from MTD as a voting member of BPAC. And that person would replace an at-large member of the commission. So it would keep our total membership for voting members at 11, no impact to the non-voting youth members. But instead of the 7 at-large members, we would have 6 at-large, and instead of 4 organization members, we would be shifting to 5. There was concern from the council that ratio change between the at-large resident members and organization representatives would possibly mute the voices or dampen the voices of the residents of Urbana, and that when we would have a vote, if, say, one of the resident members was absent, that would bring that total to 5, and we would have 5, an even number of organization representatives with the resident members. And there was a thought that is not a strong enough majority to have 6 to 5 versus 7 to 4, and that we'd be losing some of that Urbana resident voice.
Yeah, the concern was, they were concerned that we were clear that we have had a longstanding CUMTD representative but every time that CU representative voted, they would have to say, I'm voting for myself, I don't represent the CUMTD. But what the CUMTD would probably recommend, or what, so we made it clear that way, but the council was concerned that representatives from the following organizations, the City of Urbana Public Works, CUMTD, the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, the Urbana Park District, and the Urbana School District 116 may not always prioritize residents' best interest. There was also a worry that these representatives might vote in the interests of their organization rather than in the needs of the residents. And then there was also some fear that representatives from these organizations could use their influence to silence or intimidate concerned citizens. One person said bullied. They wanted to make sure that citizens didn't feel bullied. I know. The current representatives include the following individual and stakeholder role. The Urbana School District is 116 is a history teacher. The Urbana Park District, which we now just filled, is a park planner. The Urbana Public Works person is an assistant city engineer. The University of Illinois is a sustainable transportation assistant. The CUMTD representative who's currently serving as a citizen is a transportation analyst planner. I personally believe having experts on boards and commissions is valuable, and this group brings a diverse level of expertise. And I also think it's valuable to have boards and commissions where people aren't just speaking up for their personal opinions, that they actually are saying, when and people here are pretty clear about that. Like, personally, I would like there to be bike lanes in the middle of, name a location. But as a representative of the University of Illinois, what I'm going to say is this is what the University of Illinois would prefer. So I do know that's the thing. Council representatives had some possible solutions, but we thought first, let's just open it up to discussion and just let you know that that's what was said.
I do have a question. How many at-large positions do we have open right now, and how long have they been open?
On BPAC?
Any?
None. All vacancies are filled right now.
Yeah, we are the only commission at the city that is full.
So if we replace one, is somebody getting dropped from the committee then?
No, it would just be changing Choshi's role from at-large position to MTD representative. And then if she ever decides to leave, she never will, she's going to be here forever. But if she decides to leave someday, then that would be replaced by an MTD representative instead of any Urbana resident.
Okay. And then I also think that it's interesting that City Council is concerned about whether or not the needs of residents are being concerned or listened to or heard on this committee, when City Council themselves is not listening to the concerns of the residents that have been brought up in writing and in this committee and in public and in the meetings. So I don't really think that's very valid at this point.
I just find the whole concept of bullying
A little funny.
a little funny. Basically, to be, to figure out somebody to be on the committee, it's going to be somebody that cares about bicycling and pedestrian and micromobility and sustainable travel. I don't see a conflict. And I know, I always try to imagine, but, it's always fine until that guy took over. And we've probably all been there, but it would have to be a slow evolution, and I think we would change it then.
Yeah, I think I'd like to point out, too, that every one of us, aside from the youth members, is appointed by the mayor and city council, whether you are an at-large member that has to be a resident or a representative of an organization. They all get information about each of us and vote on us to be appointed. So, there's no guarantee that a resident at-large person that we fill in for Choshi, if she were to leave, would be any more an activist for bike pedestrian issues than a representative from MTD. There's no guarantee that somebody who's a resident member doesn't come in and have their own personal agenda or, business pursuits or whatnot. So it's the same process for any of us, whether you're a resident or a representative.
And about that, like MTD is so active transportation heavy, and they are based in Urbana. Makes sense for them to have a representative here. So, like, yeah.
Sorry, I have two comments. I was reading this page. I think the whole concern is about like the voting, like who votes and who doesn't. Is it ever possible to get like 12 members instead of 11, just to get like the majority numbers ratio right?
It's possible to get 12. The concern that was brought up from the city clerk with that is that most of the commissions or boards are left at an odd number so that you don't ever have a tie when you're voting. But then you could have a tie if somebody doesn't show up that day too.
Right,
So.
right. Okay.
Also, like on the bullying or getting influenced, like we are all public facing employees, or yeah, like whoever is serving, like Carmen, Joshi, or like Peyton is also public facing. Like we are all going to be speaking to people. Sometimes we get rude calls. Sometimes we get, very rarely, we get positive phone calls, but we do get those. And in those moments, we are trained not to dismiss their concerns. We are taught not to just tell them, no, you are wrong. You explain to them if that is something that's not possible, or that's something our agency is not currently prioritizing or working on, why is that? And how can you make that change? So I don't think that we are the bullying, or we are, yes, we are trying to explain to people that this is how it should be done. And we are here to guide them through the process. It's not that we are telling them, no, you should not tell, no, VO is going to be here and they are going to be like this. No, VO is a, yeah, it's.
So I'm going to jump in on the topic of voting and point out that any votes that, well, almost any vote that we would have here within BPAC would have to go to council anyway. That this is an advisory commission. These are recommendations going to council that they can ignore if they so choose. The votes that we have that don't go to council are only on bylaws that are not already written in the code. Anything in our bylaws that goes into the code, like this is the perfect example, has to go to council to approve, and they can reject it just as they did last night.
Yeah, and I'd like to say, commissions are advisory, and we send recommendations to council. So that's what we did with Lincoln Avenue. That's what we tend to vote. The other thing about this commission, which is very different from other commissions, because I do watch other commission meetings, which do just have members from the public, and members from the public can speak a lot more strongly than if they represent, and they can, they can say things that when I represent the University of Illinois at my job, there are things I don't say. When I'm here, I'm just representing the commission, but I'm also representing other things, but it's like I can speak differently. And so there are commissions where people do just represent themselves, and it's uncomfortable to watch, frankly, sometimes. And I would like to say historically, BPAC tends to be nearly unanimous in its decisions, or chooses not to vote, as we saw with the historical preservation of the Civic Center, if consensus can't be reached. I also would like to add, the council seems unsure about our role in the city. It seems they thought we solely focused on cyclists and bike paths. And this is just future topic. We might want to consider changing our names in the future to the Urbana Active Transportation and Micromobility Commission, or something that better fits our full mission, since we are no longer just bikes and pedestrians. We represent everyone who's not using a truck or a car to get around: bicycles, electric bikes, electric wheelchairs, scoots, skateboards, walkers, and bus riders. So sustainable travel, I believe, someone used that term today. So that's just something that's a future topic, and we will be presenting to council a year in review, and we normally will be doing that in January. So we do have a lot of new council members, so they will learn more about us then.
I was going to say something nicer as a resident at large, but now I'm not going to. I do appreciate the ability to ask the expertise of other people as a resident at large, because, for example, previous to my disability, I was driving, so I wasn't a bus rider. Now I'm a bus rider, but I have never actually ridden a regular MTD bus. So that is not something that I can be able to speak on, but it's really great to be able to have the representatives from MTD that I can ask that expertise before I make these decisions, so that I can be more informed before I vote. But also, council doesn't know what our role is. They've been invited. They have every right to come here. They have every right to watch our meetings. We are a representation of them as well, and I think it's a bit insulting that they don't know what our role is, because they have the ability to know. They're choosing not to, and to think that we only focus on bike paths when, I don't know, I've been fighting with them about snow removal and killing pedestrians for almost 9 months now. That's insulting. So I highly, again, encourage and invite City Council to come address us publicly at a BPAC meeting so we can tell them exactly what we do. And if not, then that's ignorance.
So I think I heard, I think we should get to these points soon. Sorry, not
Shoshi,
to
have
cut you
a-
off. I just want
yeah.
to say, if anyone's going to go and watch the recording of last night's meeting, I apologize in advance for not being as prepared as I would have liked to have been for those questions. I didn't see them coming, but I did my best.
And it's 20 minutes in, so you can just forward to 20 minutes and you can watch the discussion. It's only a 50-minute meeting, so it's not too bad. And Shoshi, do you have a quick thing before we start moving to solutions?
Yes, I was going to have my second comment that I think MTD has been on this commission for more than 5 years, well, including the planner that was before me, and we've been here, and this is actually, joining this commission was actually one of my first tasks that was given by my boss, like, hey, you'll be there. I'm like, okay, I didn't even know where the city of Urbana building is, but then I came. So I will say I respect all the decisions made by the city council, and I know that there's like a very huge list of what can be done to keep this MTD representative position, but no matter where we landed, like we added this representative or not.
Tonight, I tried to lay out all the options that I thought were possible here. So this is just anything that we could think of, I think we need to discuss, because from the questioning that I received last night, it seemed like there were lots of ideas, but I was trying to get a good sense of what they actually supported, because I don't want to keep going back and forth between this commission and council. I wanted to know what they really wanted. And they kind of just put it back on me to change it and figure out what BPAC really wants to do. So that's what this is. We can talk about each of these now, or if you're tired of talking about this already, we could talk about it at a future monthly meeting, or we could even set up a special meeting. We can do that anytime, as long as we post it 48 hours in advance publicly, and we have a quorum that shows up to that meeting. And I think I would want to arrange with our audiovisual guys that they would be able to do that too.
I personally would like a little bit of, I would like to discuss it at a future meeting so that I can actually look at all of these and sit down and think about them and have individual questions for each.
And how about
I agree.
Yeah, how about if we do a quick review of what some of our options are, and then that way, so do you want me to read these, or do you want to read them, or how do you want to?
I can start. You can jump in and help me
All
at
right.
any point. So the first one is simple. That's keep things as they are. We'll still have the 7 at-large, the 4 organization representatives, 2 non-voting youth members. Same quorum, same working groups. The second one is what we've proposed. We're replacing an at-large member with the MTD representative. So we go down to 6 at-large resident members, 5 organizational representatives, keep the total voting still at 11, and the 2 non-voting youth members. Third option here is we add an MTD representative, but we limit the voting rights for those of us that are representing an organization. That brings our total voting members to 7 at large. So we would have a vacancy if we do go this route, because I'm assuming Choshi would choose to be the MTD representative and not the at-large. And then with 7 voting members, that brings our quorum down to 4. And so we could have a potential OMA violation with our working groups if we didn't have the organization representatives distributed evenly throughout those. I added an alternative here too, to allow the organization representatives to vote if they were still residents of Urbana. Based on feedback from at least one of the council members last night, they would not be supportive of that because they felt like even if we are Urbana residents, we would still be speaking on behalf of the organization more than as a resident of Urbana. Another option here is we replace the at-large member with the MTD representative as proposed, and then restrict the voting rights for the representatives of the organizations. So this brings us down to the 6 at-large resident members, 5 organization reps that it would be considered ex officio or non-voting. But then we would have an even number of voting members, so we would still need to set up a policy for breaking tie votes, and the quorum would go down to 4. Again, we could have an issue with the working groups.
I have a question. What do you mean by like the organization reps need to like reserve their voting rights? Like restrictions on the voting rights?
We would no longer be voting members as organizational representatives, only those, which I personally do not support that. I think that, that we should still vote.
Okay.
I would just like to add, other commissions do have experts that serve on their commissions, and a lot of commissions are begging to try to fill these roles. So again, I am grateful for all of you for being here. I suspect they're seeing a problem when there isn't one, but continue, Carmen, with our options.
Okay, I'm going to note that there's not strong support for taking away the voting rights of the organizational members. We can replace the at-large member with the MTD rep, number 5. Did I go through 5 already? I think I did 5. Okay, maybe I didn't. I was on 4. Okay, we replace the at-large member with the MTD rep and require that all representatives be residents of Urbana. I left out a number here. That would bring us to still 6 at-large resident members, 5 organizational reps that are also residents, and the quorum stays the same, but then this may impact our current representatives if we're not all residents of Urbana. Add MTD as an option within the 4 organizational representatives. So then we would keep 4 organizational representatives, although I would say we cannot replace the city of Urbana rep. That one's still necessary in our bylaws. I'm supposed to be the secretary. Sorry, you can't get rid of me. But then we could cycle through. You could have 4 representatives from the 5 different categories, and that would keep 7 at-large resident members. And then finally, add MTD representative, keep the 7 at-large residents, and then it just increases the size to 12. And we have the even number, so we could probably write we can write our bylaws then to have a policy for what we would do in the case of a tie vote. Also added in an option here to convert one of the at-large resident members to a youth member, but what I'm hearing from the city clerk is that may not be allowed, that you would legally need to be 18 to vote here.
What if the youth members were 18, but they still go to the school?
You're not allowed to be a youth member anymore if you are over the age of 18. That's how we wrote the bylaws for the non-voting members.
So, I mean, to me, the most viable options are we go back to council, and I'm happy to present to council the feedback that we received at the commission this evening, and just ask for the current proposed ordinance. And then I think our second option would be to just add one more person. So we will not only have the largest commission, we will have now even the more largest commission, which again, you know, that's fine. Like, I'm okay with that. So either one, I don't know. But to me, that's what it sounds like, because I would really like to get the CUMTD on here as a member or person.
I agree.
I support the option of adding an additional member of the public in addition to MTD. I think it's very important that MTD is represented here, but I also think it could also be great to have additional input from the general public.
And I mean, other commissions have vacancies, so if this is how big we were and we had a vacancy, we would all end up,
Maybe we can take someone from another commission.
yeah.
Or if they want, I'll come join the other commissions as well.
Thank you, PPAC. I feel so loved. I'm a public-facing person, like Sartak said. Like, we always go to all kinds of public events. This may be the one that I receive the most positive feedback face-to-face. So, yeah, thank you, everybody.
Well, I guess I just think it's important for the agency itself, for MTT itself, to know that we value their person and want them on the commission. And I think the value of having the 5 non-at-large people on the commission, the value of the communication between these 5 people really is amazing. I mean, it is like, it is such a, it makes the commission broadly valuable over the whole community and over multiple, interests, that I think that it's a little odd to me that they would not want to support this type of communication and expertise. Because I think the at-large people benefit enormously from this.
I think that they were supportive of an MTD representative. There wasn't really much discussion about MTD's role. It was really thinking about each of us as organizations as these larger entities that may not be advocating for the people of Urbana the way that a resident member could. So I think that was the fear.
So like hypothetically, all these organizations could think there's never a problem with VO and we just you all need to shut up or something, like because it's a corporate thing and it's bringing in money or something, that kind of thing. And that just hasn't happened, people. I really feel like do nothing, or I guess, yes, bump up our number by 1.
Okay, so is there support for speaking at this at our next formal BPAC meeting to formalize our action? Okay. Even if that isn't until October, if we have to cancel next month because it does conflict with Light the Night event.
Council's also invited to our next meeting, just in case, since they don't know what the largest committee does in their own city.
I'll make sure to have this as a future item.
So, no, seriously, thank you, everyone. That was a really good discussion, and I appreciate it. And I'm sure city council members will be watching this, so when we come back to them, sometimes you have to be, they hear a lot of stuff, they're involved in a lot of things, we have new members, so, it could have just been that this just came at the wrong moment, and they were like, what is this? So there's that. So, moving on, reports of city officials and staff and reports of working groups. We have city project updates. Carmen.
Okay. City projects, and I should note at the beginning of these are really projects that are focused on bicycle and pedestrian issues. We do more projects than I always list off in these monthly meetings. I just focus on the ones that I think that you all will care the most about. Okay, so shared use paths, the Florida Avenue shared use path is still on hold, no changes since last month. It's waiting on the larger Florida Avenue Street project before we finalize those plans. Baker's Lane shared use path, the construction is ongoing. The path itself is done on Baker's Lane. The lighting is still being finished right now. The Washington Street portion, that path is complete and open to the public now. School just started yesterday, so we're on track there. And still under consideration with the Park District and the Forest Preserve are some wayfinding signs along Baker's Lane to connect more with Kickapoo Rail Trail. So more to come on that. Roadway projects, the Country Club Road and Perkins Road project. This is the one where construction began in June. This is the one that's closing Perkins Avenue that I was asked about last month, and it took me a while to figure out that was this project. It's not only widening the south side sidewalk to a shared use path and adding new sidewalk on the north side between Willow Road and Cunningham, but there's sewer work, there's street lighting work, and the street is being resurfaced itself. So the entire road is closed on Perkins Avenue between Carroll Avenue and 807 East Perkins Avenue, so that's just east of Cunningham, until about October 30th. That's the estimate for when we'll reopen there. And the project manager with the city has coordinated with Jay at MTD throughout the project. And she recently posted signs in the area indicating that this is a city improvements project because others in the public were getting confused of what is this, asking the contractors a lot of questions, and now calls are getting directed to the right place. So I think she did a great job there with advertising that this is city work. Okay, Lincoln Avenue corridor study, no changes on the project itself, but we did hear an update from Nikki Budzinski's office about the funding. The amount that they were pushing through for federal funds has been reduced from $810,000 to $250,000, but it has made it through the House Appropriations Committee, so it is likely to be enacted in October after Congress and the president signs off on that. So I know that's a big drop in our capital improvement budget, but it still is $250,000 federal dollars for a project. So that might get started sooner than we had anticipated if we need to start spending those federal funds this fall. Lincoln Avenue from Washer to Killarney. So this is the North Lincoln Avenue project. No changes from last month. The SS4A grant application is still under review by FHWA. The demonstration project was completed at the end of June, and the public meeting was held, I believe, on the same date that we had our BPAC meeting last month, on July 21st. Springfield Avenue resurfacing. This project is wrapping up. This is Springfield Avenue at Granger. So from Wright to Gregory, the work is substantially complete and the street has been reopened. And we hope that all of the work is to be completed by the end of this summer. They have not painted the crosswalks yet, but there are still 2 new crosswalks going in at Harvey and Gregory. Florida Avenue from Wright to Hillcrest, the survey work for the properties where we need easements has been completed, but we are still awaiting the final approval by IDOT before we can move on from phase 1 design to phase 2 design. So that should be coming any day now. And once that review is done and approved by IDOT, then I can come back to BPAC and give you all an update on that project. And then phase 2 of the design will start immediately after. So we can't start that second part of design until we get the approval. Illinois and Vine Street, no change from last month's update. The phase 2 design work has started last fiscal year, but the construction has is still planned for FY29 on that. Traffic signal improvements are underway now. These are the audio device updates at 14 intersections. One thing that did get added to that is the movement of a pedestrian button at Vine and Main, which is currently in the middle of the sidewalk. So it's definitely an ADA compliance issue that is getting moved to the grass as a part. Oh, actually, no, I'm sorry, that's not a part of that project. Our crews are just doing that themselves right now. So the two things kind of went together because a part of that project, we discovered this issue. So yeah, this project will still include the new controller at Lincoln and Springfield, moving that farther away from the intersection so it no longer gets hit by vehicles. That easement has, I think I mentioned this last month, but that easement has gone through so that we will be able to move that farther away. So that's good news. And that, that work is estimated to be completed by mid-November. For sidewalk projects, we still have on our list, but it's something we will be getting to in the future is developing a plan for the maintenance of the streetscape bricks downtown. The CDBG sidewalk, so CDBG is a federal funding source that comes through HUD. Our grants division, divvies out this money and we can spend a portion on infrastructure. So this is work including new ramps at Elm-Urbana, Elm-Maple, Elm-Grove, and Main and Urbana, and Elm-Weber. This went out to bid at the end of June and was awarded to the contractor in July. And because the prices were so good, we're looking at additional sidewalk repairs that we can do as a part of this project within that CDBG area, because it's specific parts of town that we have to work in for that. I'm almost done. Thank you for bearing with me. The Equity and Quality of Life program, the FY25 program. So that's broken into 3 parts: the streetlights, sidewalks, and traffic calming. The streetlights in the Silverwood neighborhood, that contract was awarded to CSNL, and that work is expected to start next month. Again, these are not the pedestrian style lighting, the lantern style that we're concerned about the brightness. These are the higher ones for the streets. The sidewalks in the Silverwood neighborhood, that's under construction now. So that's been ongoing and I think approaching completion. Traffic calming, that's in several different areas on Broadway, adjacent to Crystal Lake Park, on Kerr, and along Cottage Grove. This is still under design right now. So more to come on that, but we do hope to have that constructed by the end of the calendar year. And then ADA, I do still need to get a contract or an agreement put together with RPC to start the changes to the ADA transition plan. So still on my list, but I'm sorry, no update from last month on that one. And then finally, not a city project, but I realized I should update you all on the KRT at times. That project is moving along with the Forest Preserve. So I had some photos sent from the group recently that I could share with the commission after this meeting. At the trailhead, they're awaiting some electrical issues, so I won't speak on behalf of the Park District there. The Main Street crossing, the pedestrian signal is up now and the crosswalk is painted. I'm told that it is visible heading south to Washington Street and to the schools and the wellness center. Baker's Lane, people are using the trail frequently, although we did have a tree come down on it that we are currently in the process of removing now. And then, let's see, KRT Urbana to St. Joe, the trail to full siding was in great shape. Lots of users on the trail. They're keeping the plants trimmed well back. Yeah. I'll have a better update next month. Sorry, we have our KRT meeting on Friday. But
Peyton, did you have something you're going to say?
I was just going to add with the trailhead, if you were curious, we are waiting on just Ameren, and so that's kind of up in the air right now. But I think originally we were going to have the opening in September. It's now probably looking like late September or October. Worst case scenario, it gets pushed to the spring, so we're still kind of up in the air on that. But it's pretty much all done. It looks great. It's beautiful, so yeah.
That's awesome. And also, if you need lights or if you want to organize a bike ride or something, we could do a bike ride on the infrastructure and make sure everybody has lights and give lights away and stuff. So I'm for October. That'd be great. Yeah.
In addition with that, and this is something that we could maybe talk about at a different meeting, but we were curious about, do we want to add lights to the KRT and how the lighting situation is on the KRT? I feel like that could be a broader discussion, so I could kind of put something together if we want to talk about that at a later time. That would also help us decide if we do want to end up lighting the trail or not, so.
I also would be curious about that, just from a visually impairment standpoint. So like I can't see very well in the dark, so I would be curious to know how they could light that to make it more accessible more hours of the day.
So yes, Peyton, if you could present on that or whenever you're ready.
Yeah,
That'd be
I
great.
can find out. I'm in the research process of that, so I can kind of get some more information and give you stuff, and we can talk about it at a later date, so.
And then Carmen, this is just kind of like an extra that, for the people that are out doing the construction work, when they're placing the road construction signs, I just want them to be aware when they're placing them, because I know they're not like completely on the sidewalk, they're leaving some space, but the corners of those signs are exactly face height for those of us that are in wheelchairs, and I know that because I hit my face on them, and that was my fault for my depth perception, but I just want them to be aware that yes, you're leaving space, but the way that those stick out, they are at face level for people in a wheelchair. So if they can just be a little bit mindful if there's a different way to angle it or something like that so it's easier to pass.
Yeah, thank you. I will pass that along to the team so we can check for that when we're out in the field.
And Peyton, real fast, I thought the KRT was Forest Preserve.
So for the portion by the trailhead, we are working with the Forest Preserve, and so my supervisor, Derek, this is kind of a task that he gave me to try and figure out. So I think we're kind of working with the Forest Preserve to decide on how to light it.
I'm saying the Forest Preserve has done great dark sky lighting out at their dark, why am I spacing the name? Yeah, at Middle Fork, they've done dark sky lighting there, and then there's really nice dark sky lighting on the First Street lights. There's like a path on First Street that goes out to Savoy, and it lights up as you go through it.
I think I know what you're
Yeah, it's really nice lighting. The lighting goes right down, not into your eyes. Yeah, they're really beautiful. Actually, it's really nice. So cool.
Regarding the Lincoln and Springfield intersection, I didn't quite catch if you said that they were moving like the box that houses the traffic signal control equipment, or if they were moving like the buttons that you press. But
The controller that houses the equipment for the signals.
okay, well, so I guess that kind of seems a bit concerning to me. Like I have the intersection pull up on Street View right now, and I can see that the controller is very much up on the sidewalk. So if that's repeatedly getting hit by cars, it seems like there's a larger issue with this intersection here, not just that the box is placed in the wrong spot. It seems like there's a significant safety issue here, and it seems like moving that is kind of a Band-Aid fix. It doesn't address the real problem here, because, you know, that's the sidewalk, that's where people are supposed to go. What's to say, you know, they move the box and then someone's standing there waiting to cross and then get hit, you know? So are there any sorts of traffic calming devices or barriers or anything that could be installed here to try and mitigate those safety risks for the pedestrians?
We have not discussed that at Public Works, as far as I'm aware, but I can bring that back as a point of concern, for sure. Yeah, I think it would be shocking how many things get hit by vehicles, like the street lights and the traffic controllers, and it's just pure luck that no pedestrian is there. So yeah, protection of pedestrians through our infrastructure is really important and should be considered.
Yeah,
So.
I've been advocating for years for some kind of bump outs at Lincoln and Springfield. I saw a mom there with 2 kids. Oh my God, I think it was 3 kids, like some in a stroller. And my heart, I'm driving down the street and I'm like, oh man, you know, I just wish we had better infrastructure for folks like that were safer. Because I was like, if one child just accidentally went, whoop, That would be not great. I do have a quick question on Springfield, where there used to be crosswalks or where crosswalks are coming. Do we have like those giant orange cones there or anything? Because we're going to have thousands of people on campus next week, if not already now. So they know that, so cars know to stop and,
At the crosswalks?
yeah, because you said the crosswalks aren't painted yet in the new infrastructure.
When the crosswalks get installed, there will be the crosswalk signs too.
Yes,
the
yes,
high
but right now in
ones.
the interim, because starting next week, there's going to be thousands of people crossing those streets. That's all I was asking.
Right now, the condition is the same as it was
Ah, okay.
last
I just thought it was
semester
covered. You
and
went over
previous
the paint.
years.
All
No,
right,
no, there
never
were
mind.
no
All right,
crosswalks.
got it.
These are new, brand-new crosswalks. and
Wonderful.
Based
That's-
on counts of
Yep.
pedestrians that they were needed.
Okay, that's great to hear. Yeah, I thought like you'd finish the whole street and there was nothing, and I'm like, oh, boy. All right, cool, thank you.
But I want a note on the Lincoln Avenue piece. For Lincoln Avenue from Florida to Green, that pedestrian protection is really important and will be added into it because there are areas where it's a very narrow strip between the sidewalk and the street, or no strip at all, like where there's 4 lanes on Lincoln between Green and Nevada. And so with that project, we do intend to increase that buffer, hopefully add in trees, and also, have that better protection for pedestrians. So that doesn't include Lincoln and Springfield, of course, but it's a consideration for that Lincoln Avenue project.
By the way, the Springfield Avenue, the street looks good. And I noticed the sidewalk on the south side. Is it between Gregory and Harvey? It used to be that brick sidewalk, and now it's concrete, so much better.
North side, like by the U of I buildings at Wright?
Not on, no. I'm talking about
Oh,
Springfield.
the brick
between
sidewalk.
Yes.
You're talking about, yes, we did
Yeah.
remove some brick sidewalk that was adjacent to the parking
Yeah.
lot. Yeah.
And there used to be a lot of water pooling and all
Yeah.
sorts of
I
stuff
thought that was
there, so-
university property.
No, that's.
No, that's city
Oh, that's
sidewalk.
exciting. Oh,
Yeah.
that's really exciting. I've sent, yeah.
Sorry.
I don't know if you can tell us this, but did the public input for North Lincoln Avenue, was that relatively positive?
I'm not sure. I don't think there was a large turnout at that public meeting. I think maybe they had about 6 to 10 people. But I'd have to check in with my colleague Justin about that. Yeah.
Fiona. All right. Do we have anything else on city project updates? Hearing none. Next, bike share working group.
I
Any
have an
updates?
update from Evan. He has been working hard to get in touch with VO contacts, and he has informed me that he has a meeting set up on Friday with 2 of them to discuss the agreement and plans moving forward. So things are happening.
Just to confirm, who is he meeting? Because Reed Neal was the,
not that
okay,
one.
because he left. Okay, then
Chris.
we're good.
Okay. We can talk afterwards.
All right, that's exciting. And I think if city council is watching this meeting, I think you now understand why we need these experts here. This is why we need the Park District interacting with the university, which is why we need all these different experts here, because a lot of parts and pieces touch each other in these projects. ADA Compliance Working Group, updates.
I have some. I have filed 2 ADA complaints, one to have a missing panel of concrete sidewalk on Main Street replaced, which was done very quickly and very efficiently, and I appreciate it. I use it every day, and I love it. I also submitted one on Florida Avenue down by Smith Road to have multiple trees and shrubs trimmed because they're blocking almost the entire sidewalk, and that is in the process. And then I do have a question. Hypothetically speaking, if somebody were to file an ADA complaint on a regular schedule, what would be the appropriate schedule that would not be overwhelming for you?
We will accept ADA complaints anytime they come in from any individual. There are no restrictions on accepting ADA grievances.
Noted, thank you.
Okay, while the ADA working group hasn't met in a while, I do have update internally. We have a multi-divisional snow removal group that has been meeting since June 24th. We've had 4 meetings. We're meeting every other week. So we are talking about a number of things and making some really great progress. I can't get into too many details there, but we're exploring what the city can do to resolve the problems, how we will address the complaints as they come in, what that process and procedure looks like, and then analyzing what we have in our code already to see what we can enforce further that we haven't been. So we're really working with our building safety guys, the community development group, our executive division, ADA coordinator, and public works. So more to come on that.
Thank you, Carmen. That's great. And thank you, Sarah. Appreciate all this work everyone's doing. Moving on to public outreach and advocacy working group. I hopefully will be able to get back to folks. I'm going to reach out to the Urbana Police Department about their safe systems approach and what they're doing with that. I would love to get a presentation on that and see if we can get better data. The safe routes to school, I'm going to reach out to them about trying to do actual physical signs that are wayfinding routes. So we'll be putting arrows in the ground. I'm going to see if that's physically possible to do and how we could organize that in a way. And I'm also going to reach out to Safe Routes to School regarding the Snow Angel program about snow removal and people having signs that say, I would like please shovel my walk. So that is on me. Anyone else in my group have things to say?
Just a put your heads up type of, you need to get on that.
We're planning to be at the farmer's market pretty soon. We just are waiting to hear back from Jeff at Champaign County Bikes.
All right, I believe, is there any other public outreach? If there's not, Fiona, sorry for making you wait so long. We are going to have a presentation from Sola Gratia, and we're very excited to have you here. Welcome.
I have a big giant physical map, which if it's not big enough, Google Maps or your preferred mapping software will also do. I do have handouts though.
Feel free to pull up any maps on that computer there if you need to. Oh, okay. We'll all see it.
Because then that'll get put into the public record and people can watch at home. Yeah. And you can formally introduce yourself. You don't have to just go by your first name.
I will do that, yes. Hi, everybody. It's nice to see some familiar faces. My name is Fiona Monroe. I'm the Outreach and Education Manager for Sola Gratia Farm. We're a not-for-profit urban farm in southeast Urbana. I'm here today just to talk a little bit about what our farm does and some of our kind of observances from being on a really kind of heavily trafficked, both by pedestrian, bicycle, and bus and cars, right at the corner of Philo and Amber Lane. Yeah, just to share a little bit about that, I will try to be very respectful of your time, but it was really interesting actually to learn a little bit about the business that you guys do. So that was a cool opportunity for me. I want to thank Sarah for asking me to come and making some time for me, and just really grateful to have this opportunity to share. I'm going to learn really quickly how to make this computer do. Okay, I'll use Google Maps for my kind of explanations rather than my big physical map, unless I really need to, because I think that might be a little bit easier to see and obviously easier for the public to see. But to begin, Just a little bit of background about Solagradia Farm. We were founded in 2012 by St. Matthew Lutheran Church, whose land we sat on and still sit on for part of our farming, in order to make healthy food accessible for those in our community that lack it. So our mission is making healthy food accessible for all by nurturing productive land and cultivating diverse, inclusive communities. We work to do this kind of in two ways. The main way is that we are a production farm, and we grow about 50 different kinds of vegetables in the rough order of 75,000 to 100,000 pounds a year, and we donate 20 to 30% of that to community feeding partners throughout our community. So that includes Eastern Illinois Food Bank, they're our biggest partner, but also Wesley Food Pantry, Jubilee Cafe, Daily Bread Soup Kitchen, Faith United Methodist Church Food Pantry, and several others that are more occasional. We, especially in recent years, have really focused on meeting people where they are. So that's meant diversifying where we're donating a lot, try to meet people that are maybe homebound and aren't able to access a pantry, especially at this time when, for many immigrants, it's very difficult to get out to some of their, normal places that they would be accessing these resources. So we really focus on trying to make connections that help us reach people in places that they're already going, so that it's easy for people to get healthy local food. And I'll talk a little bit more about some of the ways that we do that, especially in our specific neighborhood, in a minute. The other way that we fulfill our mission is through our programming. So we run programs to help support our community members in having more knowledge and ownership over food. That can mean anything from gardening workshops, which we do a series of every year. We do school field trips, largely for Urbana School District, and occasionally for some homeschool or Champaign School District classes. We support a number of community gardens around town, and we have a volunteer program, several events throughout the year, and the community classroom, which I'll talk more about in more depth in a minute. So that's kind of the basics of who we are and what we do. You have in front of you, hopefully, our kind of brochure card that gives a little bit more detail, not that much more detail because it's small, but there is a lot more on our website if that's something that you're curious to explore more. Getting to the kind of geography part of things, I love that Solagradia Farm comes up now when you zoom in on Google Maps. So we started farming. This right here is St. Matthew Lutheran Church, where my cursor is. We started farming on this big chunk of land right next to it. That land does not look like that anymore. It is more exciting now. But in that picture, it was just a big empty field because I think it was winter. So we started farming right here in 2012. We added kind of over the years a couple of additional sections, including this one right here where the fire station is now. And this one right here, which is now half still farmland and half a storage locker place, I think. So those two areas have gotten developed since we were farming them. And so a few years we were actually very fortunate to be able to purchase this piece of land, just a little bit to the east there, on the end of Mumford Drive, which includes about 21 acres of arable farmland and 7 acres of this wooded area. We built a big building that allowed us to have a lot more space to kind of space and capacity to grow and sort our vegetables. So that is what is there now. It's also not on here because this picture is old. So the production farm, which is this big area right here, which if you zoom in, you can kind of see how we lay out our fields. This is where we grow most of the food that we donate and all the food that we sell. So we do sell at the Urbana Farmers Market through some wholesale vendors and through a CSA program. That's another way that we reach people, and it's also the way that we are able to subsidize some of the donation work that we do. With this transition to the new piece of land, we're able to add fruit and nut crops and perennial crops to our growth offerings. So those have not we started planting those about 3 years ago, I want to say. They're not at fruition yet, but we are getting really close to having apples come out of that. So we were excited to be able to add that additional layer on top of the vegetables that we were already growing. All of our growing on all of our areas is using all organic practices. We're not certified organic, but we do use practices that are commensurate with the organic program. So that's what's going on here. As I mentioned, we are still here in this space right next to St. Matthew Lutheran Church. That land is still owned by the church, but we have a very good working relationship with them, and they very gracefully allowed us to continue to use that. And that has become what we call the community classroom, which we envision as a space for gardening and agriculture education, community access, recreation, and of course, food production. So most of the care of the gardens there is done by volunteers, and almost everything that is harvested there is for donation. We don't have quite as much variety as we do on the production farm, but several of the things that are really popular, and of course, everything is grown with a lot of love and care. So the little brochure that you have for the community classroom shows off the learning gardens that are there right now. We just this year began planting a food forest. So those also have not, we have about 20-ish, 15 to 20 varieties of fruit and nut perennial crops. Those also have not come to fruition yet, but that was a very exciting project to begin. So that will be a publicly accessible space, just as the learning gardens are currently. And we also have an area that is specifically set aside for working with partners that want to do some kind of collaborative gardening project. So we currently work with a couple of different partners, including a group from Yankee Ridge Elementary School that have their own kind of gardens in the community classroom space. We host a lot of our field trips and many events at the community classroom. We really envision that as being an almost park-like public space. So it is open every day, dawn to dusk, for just anybody to come and enjoy. During the growing season, it's effectively closed during the winter because there's not anywhere that you would really want to be during the winter. But we generally try to open it up kind of to the public with things planted and activities going on around Earth Day each year. I want to point out a couple of specific things, and I am going to use my map visual for this. It is small and hard to see, but there are colored blocks, so hopefully that helps. So this is actually looking from the west, looking towards the east, it's sideways compared to like a normal map. But you can see here the yellow block, which is the learning gardens. That's what's in the brochure. The gray block is the food forest that we've so far been working on. These green blocks back here are where we have our partner plots, and we also have this pink area right here, a pollinator and rain garden that we've been working on this year. And that's been a lot of fun to add. The main entrance is effectively right here, kind of right in front of the learning gardens. And St. Matthew's also allows us to use their parking lot for parking for events and anybody that's visiting the community classroom, which is really fantastic as well. Additionally to kind of those bigger areas, a few things that I am especially excited about. In the community classroom area, we have, I'm going to zoom, it's not going to be visible, but I'll kind of point to where it is. Just to the north of this brown shed, we have a cooler that opens to the outside. This is what we call our community cooler. We accept donations here from people's home gardens, and we wash and pack them and distribute them with our donations to our community feeding partners. That's been a really awesome project that we've been doing for a couple of years, but moved it into this cooler just last year, I think, which has helped us keep the product fresh for a lot longer, and has really helped us move a lot of product from people's home gardens when they have excess to people that really need it. So that's been a really fantastic addition, and that is just open all the time for folks to drop off at. On the other side of the parking lot, we just as of last week opened what we are calling our resource depot. So this is a place where any gardener can come and pick up small amounts of wood chips, compost, and there's also a garden supply swap there. We were noticing that, especially beginner gardeners were finding basic things like the cost of compost to amend soil to be a barrier. And so we wanted to address that in a small way and kind of see if we could help alleviate some of those initial costs to people growing their own food. We also get a lot of garden supplies donated that we aren't able to use on our farm, and so we wanted to make sure there was a way for those to get to people that want them. So that was the impetus for the garden supply swap. So that's very new, but that's also just sort of open 24/7 and accessible to the public, and something that we're excited to have as a community resource. Our volunteer program generally does a lot of the work at the community classroom, which is awesome, and we have a lot of awesome volunteers. Like a lot of organizations, we had a dip in volunteering during COVID, and that's been difficult to come back from. We actually are planning a month of events in September for Good Neighbor Month to kind of encourage people to get out and meet each other at the farm and help support their community. And I could see potential for some connection with Bike Month if that's something that the commission would be interested in. Okay, widening out a little bit from just our farm. So in terms of the wider kind of geography of where we're situated, we're right along Philo Road. The production farm is kind of back in a residential neighborhood. It's at the end of a dead-end street. It's not very heavily traveled, and that was kind of intentional. The site where we're at in front of, next to St. Matthew, is very well traveled, and it's awesome to have people walking by and stopping and asking us questions. But to a certain extent, we're finding that to be a distraction from work occasionally. And with how much we're growing, we didn't want to, we wanted to be able to kind of set up in a slightly less public-friendly way on our production farm. So that was not part of the plan, I would say, but definitely something that we added into our considerations as we were developing that production space. That allowed us to really make the area at St. Matthew very user-friendly and public-friendly, because we no longer had any of our production going on there that it might be a distraction or a difficulty to have the public at. So that was really exciting to me. And so then that is right next to Philo Road and Amber Lane. So we've got Meyer right here. The Silverwood neighborhood is right up here. This whole area, and especially Steer Place, is an area that we really want to serve. And so we've, for the past 10 years or so, operated a free market every Friday right out front of Cornerstone Fellowship, right here. That is very similar to a traditional farmer's market. We're out there. It is in collaboration with Champaign-Urbana Public Health District. So they come out and bring hygiene supplies and non-perishable products. We bring fresh produce and gardening supplies, and we're able to share that with folks, primarily folks that are living in Steer Place, but also from this whole area here where folks are living. So that's been a long-time resource that we've developed a really good relationship with the folks that are shopping that market, and something we're very committed to continuing to do. I will say that even though we're maybe a couple of blocks from the main kind of Silverwood neighborhood, we do see that not a lot of folks come from that neighborhood. It's really like these blocks and this apartment complex over here, largely like folks that can literally see us out their windows. And I think there's just probably difficulties with transportation. I know that a lot of folks living in the Silverwood area might be watching kids and not want to bring their kids with them, and then not really have a good place to leave them while they go to the market. So that's something that we're always considering, is how to make that market and any of our programming more accessible to folks living in that neighborhood. We also have Yankee Ridge Elementary School right over here. We run a program, we've done this for a couple of years now. We run a program with them every Friday. They bring a group of 3rd to 5th graders out to the farm as an after-school program, and they walk. So they walk all the way down Mumford They cross Philo at Mumford. There's not a crosswalk there, so usually the adults go stand in the middle of the road. Drivers have been very respectful, which is something I was really worried about when we started doing that. But it would be really awesome if we had a safer way for folks to cross there to get the kids across to the farm. So they walk down here and then walk down Philo and come into the community classroom that way. I think it's about a 10 to 15 minute walk for them. We do always start with a snack and some rest time because short little legs, that is a long way to go. And then parents pick up from the farm so they don't have to walk back. Previously, they were walking back, and that was just a little bit too much time to be walking and then also be playing outside. So we're glad we were able to have parents pick up directly from there. And then, of course, as I mentioned, we have the new fire station that was built on this land here. The city, as I understand, owns this whole section of land now, but the fire station didn't end up taking up all of it. It just kind of took up this corner. I would estimate how large that is, but I'm not very good at that. Maybe like 1.25 acres or so. So there is quite a bit of land here that is just being mowed, I believe, by the city right now. Something that has come up in our internal conversations and in a few conversations with folks at the city has been the idea of developing this into some kind of public green space with a connection to the community classroom. That could be kind of like a corridor through there. There's a tree line here, but there would be ample space to kind of connect those areas. We do see, and kind of getting more into pedestrian activities, we do see people walking all the way across the parking lot and through this field. I think especially for folks living in like the Silverwood area or even further down Philo in apartment complexes that are walking, anything you can do to cut some steps out is desired. So we do have folks that cut kind of right across here, which isn't a problem for us, but something that does concern me is where folks are crossing Philo Road. We do have a crosswalk up at Colorado. Where is Colorado? There's Colorado. So there's a crosswalk there, and there is a crosswalk at Scoville. There's nothing in between. And we do see, I have observed a lot of people walking from Meyer with full carts of food that are just crossing the road wherever they can find. I think we would still get some of that if there were additional crosswalks, but it would be really great to have some safer places for folks to cross the road there, because there's a lot of moving in between. Despite that, though, something that we have found is that for some sorts of programs, Philo Road kind of acts as a boundary. Folks that are living over here are not really wanting to come over on the other side of Philo for much. I worked with Silver Hearts and Giovanna De Benedetto 4 or 5 years ago now on some food distributions in the Silverwood neighborhood. We did it directly in the neighborhood one year, and the next year we did it across the street in the parking lot of Quest Church, which is realistically maybe 200 yards away, but we saw way less people coming out. And we knew that it was not a situation of less need. So there is something about that street, I think maybe just where it's very busy, especially if you have kids in tow, crossing that is stressful. That does kind of create a boundary. So that's something that we're kind of always thinking about how to adjust for so that people feel comfortable and welcomed coming to our programs that are over here in the community classroom on the other side of Philo. A few other things. We do see a lot of folks cut through the parking lot, both in vehicles, in which case they usually go really fast and unsafely, and on foot, or sometimes on bikes or Via rides? Anything? Okay, anything goes. I don't know that there's a whole lot that we can do or St. Matthew can do to keep people from driving through there. I think it's kind of a convenient cutoff for maybe an awkward intersection. But it is something that we have to be very careful about, especially if I have kids on the farm and we are trying to go to the bathroom or go inside. We're very careful about crossing that parking lot because people don't slow down going through it. It is really nice to see all the folks that are using that as a nice place to walk, though. And like I said, we do have a lot of people even cutting off to go further through these fields, just to cut some time out of their walk if they've got heavy things or maybe have been doing a lot of walking. We do see via rides left around the farm occasionally. We've had them just kind of left in this field here, which is not really particularly in the way. We have also occasionally, or at least I have also occasionally seen them left on the sidewalk here, which is more of an issue. But other than that, we haven't had a whole lot of, we're okay with them being around the farm, but obviously not in the pedestrian pathway. Okay, so just kind of thinking towards the future, some things that we've been thinking about. The community classroom as it exists right now is not terribly wheelchair accessible. We have set it up so that pathways are sized appropriately, that if we had funding to lay them with something that was wheelchair accessible, then it would be. But we have not been able to find that funding as yet, and it is expensive. So when we can find that funding, that is a priority for us. But funding has been an issue. I would also love to have a little bit more bike parking there. Yeah. There's a little bitty rack by St. Matthew's, but we don't actually have anything. We did put it in at the new building, but then of course nobody goes there. People go there, but not as many people.
Everyone, when they pick up their CSA, they just throw their bikes up against the dumpster.
Yeah,
So.
that's a common spot. So it would be really nice to have to put in some better bicycle infrastructure there, so people have somewhere they can lock their bikes if they're enjoying the community classroom or coming to CSA pickup. In general, I would just love for the community classroom to be a place that people can travel to in order to enjoy, but also somewhere that they can stop by on their way somewhere if they're going to the store. They can just kind of stop by real quick and see what's going on if that's of interest to them. So that's something that's always kind of top of mind for me in terms of how we're developing that space and encouraging traffic through there. Yeah, that is kind of a rough overview of our programs and our kind of placement in the pedestrian and micro-mobility, that's a new word I learned today, I like it, space in Urbana. I'm happy to answer any questions and also happy to send any further information if that's helpful.
I have a couple questions. My first question is, your cooler that you guys have, what exactly do you accept in there? Just like, is it just vegetables, or like theoretically, like I have chickens, would you accept eggs from my chickens if I have extra, or like what is it? Is it just produce?
So any produce, I don't think we can technically accept livestock products. So chickens or meat, eggs or meat would probably not be acceptable. I might double check on the eggs because that's usually a different category. But
Right, I assumed meat probably wouldn't.
Yeah,
I was just
meat we
wondering
can't
like
do.
what people could actually donate in there. And then my second question, because I'm trying to find ways to connect what we do here with you guys. And this was something that came up while I was cleaning up my pantry, actually. So I pulled some statistics from the Allergy and Asthma Network that 86% of U.S. households have food insecurity, and up to 21% of kids with food allergies have food insecurity. So, for example, I have a wheat allergy, and if I were to go to a food pantry, there would be almost nothing in those boxes that I would be able to have. And so I was wondering, for example, if we were to do a bike safety event, would you guys also want to maybe combine it with a food drive where we could do an allergy-sensitive or allergy-friendly food drive to help stock our local pantries with allergy-sensitive items, or bringing awareness for people that when they are donating to pantries that they can be aware of certain items that maybe they can also provide. So for example, when I cleaned out my pantry, I went to the food pantry in front of St. Matthew's Church and put a bunch of like gluten-free pasta and things that I didn't need anymore, but somebody else in the community may. So I wanted to bring that up and bring the attention. For example, a loaf of gluten-free bread that is smaller than a regular loaf of bread is $8. So the food insecurity really hits really hard with people with food allergies. So an event like that, would that be something that you guys would be open to connect both what you do with what we do?
Yeah, I would imagine so. We definitely do see a number of patrons that are struggling with food allergies and prefer to have access to whole vegetables because it's something that they know they can eat. There's not additional ingredients, etc. I think we would certainly be interested in collaborating on something like that. We could, at the very least, bring probably veggies to share. Yeah, I'd have to check with my team more, but it's definitely something I'd be interested in discussing.
Yeah, just an idea to throw out there for the future.
Yeah.
I would definitely like to say that Philo Road is a barrier. I know that those are bike lanes, bike and walk lanes there, but there are no trees. So there is no shade. And also then you're up against cars and you're very visible and you feel vulnerable. And the other thing is the speed on Philo Road is very high. There is no
Absolutely.
need for a residential street to have that high of traffic. And especially if we're trying to encourage people to stop and go into stores or whatever they need to do, that speed limit definitely doesn't need to be what it's at because people are going to drive 5 to 7 over what a posted speed limit is anyway. And then in addition, there are no crossings. Sometimes when I try to cross, because I often ride my bike over there, it's pretty aggressive, and especially like you were pointing out how there's that corner that, you know, how people are cutting through your parking lot because that corner is wacky and dangerous.
It's really
And,
awkward.
yeah, it's an awkward corner, and then if I'm trying to cross the street, I have to keep an eye on cars turning right and crossing. So again, improvements on Philo Road would be welcomed, in my humble opinion, if we could add crosswalks, if we could slow down the traffic, if we could add trees. And for St. Matthews, I hate to say it, but speed bumps, they work.
Good point, yeah.
Yeah, they work.
I can't speak for St. Matthews, but I will certainly suggest it.
I would recommend it, especially because I am worried about children because that new space that you are creating is delightful. You've also put in a water feature. People like water features. People are going to be coming there more frequently to look at the water feature. And if you are unaware that cars use that as a cut through, that's not going to be safe for folks. So those are my things for Philo Road because again, I know you're trying to want people to go there, and there is a reason why people didn't cross the road when you're doing that event with Giovanna. I totally get it. So regarding BPAC, if you did do a neighbor event in September, let's talk about like what we could do there and how we could work with you on that. If we did another friend of mine was fantasizing over doing an event at Sola Gracia with like at night with like fairy lights and music and maybe food trucks and like just like food, some sort of like just sort of light gathering, and then obviously we can have lights and we can bring lights, or we could start a bike ride, from Common Ground and bike out there with people. So we have bike lights. If you ever need an event that needs bike lights, we have them. It's our one thing. And yeah, so bike lights coming up. So that's what I have. So I don't have any great ideas right now, but what we can do, when I used to do the Urbana Amble, Sola Gracia was a great partner for that. And the Urbana Amble, I would encourage people to walk and bike through the city and see things. And so it was great to be able to have Sola Gracia as a partner on that because it was the first time I saw that wacky bike rack, like packed full of bikes and people throwing their bikes everywhere. And I was like, oh, that's great. So yeah, so thank you for all the work you do. Any other questions, comments?
Yeah, I do have one more question. On that main path right in front of you guys, I go to Meyer quite a bit in my wheelchair through there. One of the things that I see quite a bit because of that food pantry that's there is a lot of broken glass along that road. Who is responsible? Like, is that a city-owned road that, like, who cleans that up? Like, is that something you guys go out and monitor, or is that something
the sidewalk there?
Yeah.
We do not. I don't know if St. Matthew does. It is their food pantry. I don't know if that's city responsibility.
Right, I just didn't know, like, if there's, who do I tell that that's a problem?
That it's a
Like,
problem,
is it,
yeah.
do I tell you guys? Do I tell you guys?
Sidewalk crossing the driveway to the church?
Like
I'm
that
not following
black
you.
pavement road, like basically right along Philo that goes straight.
It's kind of like right here.
Yeah, that part.
Oh, the shared use path.
Yes.
That's the
Actual
city's.
path. Okay,
the city.
because that's where
Okay.
there's broken glass there almost all the time. Like right now, the food pantry, one of the food pantry like doors
The
is
door
actually
is
busted. The glass is
broken,
broken,
yeah.
but there's broken glass all the time because people are putting glass jars and things like that in there, which I understand. But then they get smashed on the road, which is a huge problem for pedestrians, especially when you do have a lot of small kids that are going through there. Some of them are wearing sandals. I have actually seen a lot of kids from the apartments walking around without shoes on at all. So that would be something that I'd be concerned about as well.
That's an excellent point. I will speak to the folks at the church about who's kind of in charge of that and see if we can maybe set up a plan to just keep a closer eye on any kind of problems we're having with that.
I had a question about the kids crossing on Mumford at Philo. How often did you say they're crossing, and how many kids is that approximately?
It's once a week during the small period when the growing season and the school year overlap. So it's usually for about 6-ish weeks in the spring, 6-ish weeks in the fall. So our fall session this fall is starting September 4th and going through like mid-October, I think. But yeah, it's once a week. We always have 3 to 4 adults there. The group of kids is about 15 to 20, 22. The leader of that program at Yankee Ridge has worked hard with the kids to discuss safe street crossings, and they are very mindful and careful when crossing. But I, obviously don't necessarily want to put that on the kids to be responsible for that much of their safety when crossing a really busy street like that.
Thank you. I'm just getting a rough count of the pedestrians and the frequency
Totally.
to see if it justifies us installing a crosswalk at this time without doing the formal count.
Gotcha. Yeah. I mean, I can't speak for specifically at Mumford, but I would say probably 30 or 40 folks a week are crossing Philo somewhere in there between those two crosswalks.
And if you need me to roll across the street multiple times to increase that count, I will.
Colorado has a high accident rate.
That's, yeah,
It's a,
doesn't surprise me.
it's a yeah, I don't know. To me, it doesn't look like an unsafe intersection, but it has a very high accident rate. So something going on there.
I was just going to ask, should this be some kind of like a future topic to discuss whether we should have like traffic calming, like either a crosswalk or something on Philo between Colorado and Amber, right? Like Amber has
Amber doesn't. It's down to Scoville.
Scoville. So
I think we could even talk about more north going towards like Michigan. Yeah, but future topic. But talking about, I think in general, like the bikeability of that street and like
Walkability
the walkability, and especially with the city wanting to do stuff for the 50 Road corridor, I think us, advising would be smart.
I wanted to mention that this place is bus accessible. It has like red bus and 50 green in the night, but you open like sunrise to sunset. So red weekdays and red Saturday will be your best friend traveling to this farm.
Yes, thank you. That's a great point that I should have mentioned. I actually was busing to the farm for a couple months when I didn't have a car, and I was really grateful for that really good access. So the Meyer stop is really accessible to the community classroom, and because the two directions kind of cross on Philo a little bit, there's kind of a lot of opportunities for catching or disembarking the bus on there, which is really, really nice.
Oh, I just had one suggestion for the church too. If they don't already have like a do not enter sign for the driveway, maybe they could consider that. Like do not enter unless using church property.
Yeah, that's a good thought. I'm not sure if that would dissuade or kind of fit with their mission, but it's certainly something that I'll bring up as a as a safety feature. The church, I mean, this parking lot is mostly empty a lot of the time. This picture is fairly accurate to what it looks like most days, because the church is mostly used on the weekends. So it's usually our staff vehicles and anybody that's coming to see us in the parking lot there. So it is a really big empty space, and I see why people kind of see it as an easy shortcut.
I mean, it's okay, but it's not okay that people are using
Right,
it that way.
yeah.
I hate to say that. And if you are gonna do a cut through, you need to be respectful, and that's all. Yeah.
Thank you all for having me.
Appreciate you coming. Yeah, this is great. And we'll just, if you can think of anything that would involve biking, pedestrians, bus, any sort of, we could do a bus tour, we could, whatever. Like, you know, if we want to do a tour by bus of farms or anything, like
that could be fun.
we're here for you. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I will be in touch. Thank you so much
All
for the
right, cool,
opportunity.
cool. All right, thank you. Yeah, we could do a food accessibility tour. That could be fun by bus. I'd be down with that. All right, are we clapping? All right, hold on, we're gonna clap. Hold on a second.
And thank you for your patience for waiting for our conversations.
And humorously, there's a clock over here that I normally check, and it is so not working. And it took me a while to figure that out. Not working. So, Sarthak. Sarthak, I think, is it okay if we bump the CU Active Transportation Plan update?
I think I can get to it in 5 minutes.
All right, Sarthak's
Like less
going to
than
share.
5 minutes.
Okay, go for it.
I'm just
Sarthak.
gonna run through it. It's
Yep.
basically
Go.
an update from the the Active Transportation Plan Advisory Committee meeting from July 23rd. We met at RPC in the Brookins Center for the last time for advisory committee. Yeah, because RPC is moving.
So
Just FYI.
we should clarify that you are the BPAC representative on this advisory committee.
Yes,
Well,
I
all
am the-
three of us are on the steering committee.
Yes.
Sarthak is on the advisory committee as well.
Yeah. So during this meeting, they talked about the major update is the ATP plan's wrap up has been extended to 2027, and they've been approved for end of 2027, but expected delivery date for the document is sometime in the middle of next year. There was a presentation about public outreach number 2, which occurred during the 2-week period, April 29th until May 13th, and they received over 500 responses. They also received 18 photo submissions, and I think, Joshi, you submitted 3 or 4 of those, I think, or something. There was a mention of Joshi over there, so that's why I remember. One cool thing about the photo submissions is they got KRT in all 4 seasons, and it's available. All of that is available on the website, which is ccrpc.org/cu-ATP. And I will repeat that at the end of the presentation, talk, whatever. From the public outreach, let's see, they've talked about the 5 most critical things that people suggested that the Urbana-Champaign area should have. One was continuous routes, more protected bike lanes, better repair and maintenance of existing infrastructure, and to add/create trails for long distance bike rides and walking, and safer and low stress network for active modes of transportation. So those were the 5 that they mentioned. And as I said, there were 18 photo submissions from 17 respondents. So maybe just 1 or 2 from Joshi. Then we talked about, they discussed the pillars, goals, and objectives of the ATP. And there have been changes made to the pillars and goals and objectives based on the comments from steering committee as well as advisory committee. So the advisory committee provided there was one, oh my God, I'm blanking on that word, but one phase of comments. And for steering committee, there were it went for 2 meetings. They went through 2 meetings of those suggestions. We did not go through the goals and objectives, but the project prioritization criteria was updated to have 7 categories for 7 pillars, and they added an additional category for local input and shovel-ready projects. So basically, the prioritization scoring matrix was updated for that. Now, connectivity and safety criterias or categories, they would have the maximum amount of points allocated towards them as 20 for local input and shovel-ready category, 18 points, active living and healthy environments. They combine those 2 pillars. 14 points, accessibility 10, reliable mobility 13, and maintenance 5. Overall, there are 30 criteria for 100 points in total. And this was all shown for the urban setting projects only. They're still working on the rural scoring system. After that, we looked at the 10-minute walk to parks maps and updates. And again, the map is an interactive map that is available on the CU.
Sarthak, we need to extend the meeting by about 10 minutes.
2 minutes.
Well, we'll extend
sorry.
the meeting by 2 minutes. So would
Yeah.
anyone be able to make that motion?
So moved.
I second it.
All right. The motion to extend the meeting by 10 minutes was made by Kevin, and it was seconded by Sue. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. All right, the ayes have it. Continue, Sarthak.
Moving forward. Okay, so I literally have just next steps. So next steps for this ATP plan development is to continue the development of infrastructure, the criteria matrix, and the 10-minute walk to park maps. And the round 3 of the public engagement, round 3 of the 3 or 4 public engagement will begin in September. And that was it. So if you want to learn more, you can go to the website. It is ccrpc.org/cu-ATP. ATP as an active transportation plan. And that's it. Yeah.
All right, thank you, Sarthak. If anyone has further questions, please reach out to Sarthak or check out the website. And do we have any announcements? Go for it.
I was just going to remind everybody that Bike to Work Day is on Wednesday, September 16th from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Right now, we have 16 locations or 16 welcoming stations confirmed throughout Champaign County. 8 of them are on campus. And yeah, we would be updating or publishing the registration for Bike to Work Day link sometime later this week or early next week. So stay tuned for that. Then Light the Night event, as I mentioned earlier, tentatively at 5 campus locations on Tuesday, September 22nd, from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. We will be installing bike lights to any bicycle or anyone who brings their bicycle to any of these locations. And yeah, just if you would like to help out, we are always looking for volunteers for that event. Oh my God, there was one more. Oh, students are coming back. This is the move-in week. There are thousands of people coming back to town, so just be careful. There are a lot of people driving to and from the campus, and they're not necessarily from this area. So they sometimes don't know how students walk wherever they do, but just be careful, everybody. Yeah.
All right, I have 3 announcements. I have agreed to have LCI training, which is League Certified Instructors. Yes, I've agreed that we will do that in May. So I thought it was better than fall. So I was like, we'll start gathering. I just want folks to know, if you want to learn how to ride a bike, if you want to become a League Certified Instructor, we are going to be doing that in May, and I'll be working with people, and we'll be getting the word out, and you'll know more about that soon. There is with students coming back to campus, if you have a scooter or a bike that is on campus, it must be registered to park on campus. And I emailed Sarthak earlier today to ask. They have a very cute squirrel riding a bike, and it says, "Love your bike, make it official. Registering your bike is one of the easiest ways to protect it. Help reduce theft and keeps your bike safer. Increases the chances of recovering your bike if stolen. Registration is required for all bikes and scoots parked on campus. Get hitched." And there's a URL. And I asked Sarthak if anyone in the city could use this link, and he said, yes, they can. So I know there is a $10 registration associated with that, but I believe you can do it for free if you just go to the second link. I don't know if that's true, but I did ask Sarthak if we could share this in the monthly newsletter with the city, because this is the one where you get the shield and you put it on your bike, and it's a big deal. I have it on my bike, and I'm very grateful for the security of it.
And just to clarify, if you do register for free, there is no shield sticker. That's right. Yeah. Right. So, and that is the main point of registering, like to get the sticker. So, yeah.
And stickers can be picked up at the Urbana Free Library. It's a really great system. So I will be sharing these graphics and this information with the city, so they can put it, if they would like, they can put it on their social media feeds, and they can put it in newsletters. They can put it on digital signage. So I will be sharing that with the city, and that is, I'm spacing the name, I'm seeing her face.
Bridget.
Thank you, Bridget. I'll be sharing this information with Bridget, and she can do with it as she wishes. And I did check with Sarthak to make sure that it was okay to share it. And the third item is, I spoke with Carmen about checking all the lights in the city and all the crosswalks, and I thought it would actually be very fun to do a bike ride called something like Bike the Lights. Carmen would give me a map, and I would bike around, and I would check to see if the crosswalks are working, if the lights are working, and I thought it would be a very fun activity. And if anyone else would like to join me on the Bike the Lights tour, I would be willing to do it. I do need to see a map to see how far this is and what we're talking about, but it might not be that many. It might be that many, but we'll find out, because then that way, Sue, we can check to see if there is supposed to be something in the sidewalk, if it's working, we can asset map and let the city know directly, this is working, this isn't working. We can all run and hit the lights, and I think it would be a lot of fun. So I'll keep you all informed until, once I get the map, then we can go from there. So that's my announcement.
I can probably accompany you on that ride and potentially bring an iPad or just do it on my phone and log issues that we find as we're going along. So it could just not only be for the traffic signals and the push buttons, but for any other infrastructure issues that we find that are an impediment to pedestrians or bicyclists.
Can I come in my wheelchair, or are you going to take me in a sidecar on your bike?
I'll go slow enough that you'll keep up.
I got an e-bike. I mean, I don't know, could we do something with that? All right.
Okay, before we run out of time, I didn't give a very great update on the Kickapoo Rail Trail, but I will note there is a river to rail ride coming up on the Kickapoo Rail Trail. It's outside of Urbana, starting in Danville. So that's on Saturday, September 12th, the 2026 River to Rail Ride. There's a registration fee. If anyone's interested, I can send a link to register for that. And you get a t-shirt. Register by August 27th, and you'll get a t-shirt in your size. Any proceeds go to helping with the development of the Kickapoo Rail Trail. And I know more funds are needed to finish the trail.
All right. Before officially we end today's meeting, I would like to thank everyone for your work today. It is my hope that you leave this meeting feeling seen, heard, respected, and valued. The work we are doing together is important, and I thank you all for your participation. With that said, if there are no objections, I call this meeting adjourned.